McEnelly got the job done, win three matches against Sinclair. Tough opponent. Obviously, you guys are both world class. But take me through the series, the highs and the lows. Losing a match and coming back and winning the series.
Yeah, the first match I was attacking a lot. I was getting to his legs pretty easy, but he was pretty crafty when I get there. Jumping over the top, scrambling ability, and catching my ankles and stuff like that. So the first match, kind of, I wasn't picking the right attacks. I was kind of forcing them a little bit, and then he kind of capitalized off of them. But going into the second and third match, my coaches just told me, hey, put the pressure on. Pick the right attacks. You don't need to shoot 10 times, and just go out there and hand fight and wear on them, and then find that one attack and one or two attacks that's going to take them down, and go out there and win the match. And that's what we did the last two matches.
What does going through a series like this do for you moving forward towards the Worlds, but in your career as well?
Yeah, it's just another step. You always have the goal of making a world team, and obviously you want to do it in two, but to have to battle through adversity of almost getting teched in the first match to then winning the next two matches, it takes a lot. It's not easy, but it's just another step in the road to where I want to ultimately be in August when I win the Worlds.
And not your first Worlds, but
yep.
You were bronze before, right?
Yep.
Where do you think you've grown since then, and how will you get to the top step on the podium?
I think he honestly wrestles a lot like those foreigners do. He's kind of laid back. He doesn't hand fight super hard. But I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to do what I do. I'm not going to change what I do because of who I wrestle. Strategically, we might do a little things different, but there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So, yeah.
What do you remember about the last Worlds you were at and just the feeling, stepping on the mat? It's a different environment than anything we really put on here.
Yeah, it is for sure different. I mean, when you go against the dudes from the other countries, it's like they live a completely different style of life than we do over here. And, you see a bunch of different cultures when you're over there, so it's really cool. But the ultimate goal is to just go out there and, kick ass and win Worlds.
Can you explain the volatility of a best-of-3 match, and just in yours in particular, where you're close in the first one, then you almost get teched, and then it comes down to a challenge brick at the end, and it's a tight match there. How is there such a range in these matches? Yeah,
it's just the way that you go out and wrestle the match. Obviously you saw in the first match that I went out and attacked a lot. And, I was kind of forcing them a little bit, trying to get to his legs. And I did get to his legs. I mean, if you count the shots in the match, he might have shot one time in the entire 3-match series. So, and I knew he was going to do that. So the whole time I was just pressuring him, hand fighting, moving him. And that's kind of the difference. I was just picking the right attacks instead of shooting a bunch of times.
I'm curious, like offense versus defense, right? You're a very offensive guy, and he's very defensive, or counter-offense, however you want to say it. But how does that type of matchup play, like when you're a wrestler? I mean, do you want to go out and do you prefer being the offensive guy? I mean, is that, especially as you're looking at these foreign opponents, I mean, just take me through the dynamic of offense versus counter-offense and these styles.
Yeah. I would say I'm a very offensive wrestler, but I would say that I have great re-attacks too. For him, He's very defensive. He doesn't like to shoot a lot, doesn't like to go under. So when you wrestle guys that are like that, it's kind of, like I said before, picking the right attacks instead of forcing, 10 different types of shots, right? Because he's gonna counter it, he's gonna score, and that's what we saw happen in the first match. And then the second match, you saw I didn't really shoot in the first period. I just kind of went out and hand fought with him, moved him around the mat, got him tired, and then towards the end got the takedown and ended up getting 4 off of that. So that's kind of where it changes. I think if he were to open it up and shoot, I would have destroyed that match, but that's just not the case.
Where do you go from here? I mean, what are you focused on? What's your training look like in your preparation?
Yeah, just staying in the golf room with coaches, Michael Kemmer, Eggum, Becker, Sanders, strength coach, getting physically ready for it. It's a tough tournament going over to the World Championships, but you got to have a balance too. It's summertime, you got to enjoy yourself a little bit. So, I'm excited to get out on the lake, hang out with my friends, and then, prepare for the World Championships in August.
How does this feel different than a Big Ten final, NCAA Championship semifinal, and then you come here? It's just a smaller venue, but a lot on the line. How do those feel different?
Yeah, it's just about being a competitor. It doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what arena you're in, who you're facing. It's just about going out there and wanting to win. And, you know, every time I go out there, I'm coming in with the mindset that I'm not going to let this guy beat me. So, you know, there could be no fans, and I'd still have the same mindset going into there. So that's all it comes down to at the end of the day. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.